Today, we're diving into a story about how a single project in rural Tanzania is taking on one of the biggest questions of our time. How do we get the next generation ready for a world that's, well, basically going to be run by AI? This is all about bridging a massive digital divide, one classroom at a time. And it all starts with this question. And wow, it is a huge one. Think about this. The World Bank says that by 2050, a full quarter of the entire global workforce will be from Africa. But in an age of AI and automation, you've got to ask, right? How do we make sure all that incredible human potential turns into opportunity and not, mass unemployment? That's really the heart of the problem. So who's stepping up to answer that question? Well, that would be ACT's Africa. And their mission, it's as bold as it is direct: to give a new generation the AI literacy they absolutely need to thrive. And this isn't just about downloading a few apps. It's about building a more prosperous and equitable future from the ground up. Okay, so what does this challenge actually look like, on the ground? Before we get into the solution, it's so important to understand the gap between the reality of today and the potential of tomorrow. And this really gets to the heart of it all. On one side, you've got the daily reality for so many students in rural Tanzania. And on the other, you have these incredibly powerful AI tools that are already shaping our global economy. The whole mission here is to connect these two worlds, to turn that digital divide into a digital bridge. And you should know, this isn't just a passion project. It's strategically aligned with major global priorities. We're talking about hitting key UN Sustainable Development Goals: better education, real economic growth, innovation, and partnership. This just elevates it from a cool tech initiative to a core development mission. So how do you even begin to turn such a grand vision into something real? Well, you have to start somewhere. And for ACT Africa, that starting point was the Katavi region in western Tanzania. This is where they launched their pilot project. Their approach was really swift and incredibly focused. In just 3 months, the team went from all the planning and logistics to visiting dozens of schools, and then, finally, to analyzing the results. This wasn't some long, drawn-out academic study. It was a rapid, targeted campaign to see what was actually possible. And the campaign hit the ground running, really reaching communities all across the region. They visited schools like Katavi Boys Secondary, which is a real cornerstone of local education there. And from there, they continued on to Kabungu Secondary, engaging more students, building up that momentum with every single stop. And then on to Misonkamilo Secondary, making sure their reach was as broad and inclusive as possible. Look, this wasn't just a few token visits. It was a comprehensive tour designed to connect with the entire educational community. But what actually happened when they got inside these schools? This is where it gets really cool. This is where theory met practice, and these classrooms were transformed into little labs for digital exploration. The team didn't just talk about AI, they brought it to life. They showed students how they could generate entire stories from just a single prompt, how they could create their own original music, and even produce short videos with some of the most cutting-edge tools out there. And crucially, they demonstrated how a personal AI assistant could completely revolutionize the way they study and learn. And you can just see the impact in their own words. This quote from a student at Anyanga Secondary, it says it all. AI can help us study better and faster. Just like that, this advanced technology wasn't some far-off, abstract idea. It was a real, practical tool for their own lives. Inspiration is powerful, right? But data is undeniable. The pilot wasn't just designed to inspire people, it was designed to measure, to learn, and to prove that the model actually works. So let's look at the numbers. First, let's talk scale. They reached 40 secondary schools. That's a pretty significant footprint across the entire Katavi region. And what about the human impact? They directly engaged with nearly 7,000 students and educators. And for most of them, this was their very first real encounter with artificial intelligence. Think about that. But the team didn't just present, they listened. And what they learned was absolutely crucial. They found out students wanted to apply AI to things that really matter in their community: education, agriculture, and the environment. They confirmed the biggest barrier is the cost of data and connectivity. The main tool in everyone's pocket? Their mobile phone. And maybe most importantly, the teachers, they are eager and totally ready to bring AI into their work. Look, a successful pilot isn't one that has no problems. A successful pilot is one that confronts its challenges, learns from them, and then builds a stronger model because of them.
And the team was really open about the hurdles they faced. They had to deal with unreliable internet, work with pretty limited resources, and manage the sheer amount of time it took to travel between all these remote schools.
And just to put that connectivity issue into perspective, this wasn't just some local problem they were having. Around the same time, a nationwide internet disruption cost the country over $200 million. So this is the really challenging environment the project had to navigate every single day. Every challenge teaches a lesson, and every pilot project helps shape a much larger strategy. So this is where the project pivots from being a proof of concept to becoming a vision for the entire continent. And their plan for the future is built directly on those lessons. First, they're going to tackle the connectivity issue head-on by creating offline materials. Second, they'll make it sustainable by training local facilitators, a train-the-trainer model. From there, the goal is to expand across all of Tanzania, and then finally, forge the strategic partnerships they need to take this mission across the continent. So this report, it's more than just a summary of a pilot project. It's really an open invitation. It's a call to action for any organization out there that shares this vision for an empowered, AI-literate Africa. And we end right where we began, with the mission. The Katavi pilot was just the first sentence in a much, much longer story. The question now is who's going to help write the next chapter? Because empowering a generation with the tools of the future, well, that's not just an opportunity, it's an absolute necessity.